So you've purchased your manual. What happens next? So when you've purchased your manual, you'll get sent straight to a download link if you've just purchased manuals or PowerPoints. If you've ordered a Build Your Own Academy pack, we will send all the files by Dropbox. Once you download the file will be downloaded in Microsoft Word. If you try to open that in another package, i.e. you try to open it in Pages on a Mac, it will distort the presentation. So I would suggest that you make sure you have Microsoft Word on your computer. It's easily added to your system. It costs $6.99 a month. And if you don't want to download Microsoft Word, you can also open it in Google Chrome as well. So once you've got your package open or you've got your manual open, this is what you're going to see. We've got here the lash and brow tint and shape manual, and all the manuals across the board look similar to this. So they've got the same front page, they have a very similar layout, very similar look. And you can obviously change this to suit your own needs. So if you've got a particular font that you use, a particular colour that you use, if you want to watermark the pages, you can obviously do that accordingly. So a lot of questions I get asked is how easy is it to edit the manuals? And obviously so many people aren't still computer literate, or they're not very confident on computers, but this really is easy to edit yourself. So for example, things like the images at the top of the page, if you don't like them, you can literally remove them out of the presentation. You can add in your own logo, or you can add in another image that is more unique to your business. We can change the name of the manual here as well. So if this isn't the sort of name that you want to call your manual, if you've got a particular course that you'd like to call it, then you can change that as well. If the box is quite long, we can literally just move the box over so you can see what you are calling your course, so you know you're spelling it correctly. Click off the box, and then we can configure this anywhere that we like. And we can make this box shorter if we want. Oops. Let's make sure you grab the right element. And we can also change the way it presents. So if you want it to be straighter, we can add it there. We can maybe pop the title of the manual there, and we can put our logo and business name in here as well. We can edit this little box up here, which is the license. We can then add in here your academy name, and we could change any of the colours. So if you don't like this colour here, if you double click on the box, it will open up another format option for you on the right hand side of Microsoft Word. You can also right click and then click format shape, and it will open up the same box. So you can choose to have no fill, which will remove the box altogether. You can add in a solid fill, which will allow you to change the colour. So say, for example, you've got Tiffany blue as a colour scheme for your academy. You can change it to your particular colour scheme, or you can change it to whatever colour that you prefer. And then you can have that as all your manuals being in the same format. You can also change the transparency of the colour, and we can change this box here as well. So if we double click on that, we can then go and change this box to whatever colour that we would like it to be. Okay. Once you've decided what your manual is going to look like, if you feel that this isn't showing up very well, you can go and change that into a darker colour so that people can see it more clearly. Or if you don't like any of this layout, you can literally just remove all the elements, and you can change it from here as well. Say, for example, you want to keep the picture, that's okay as well. That's what you can do. Also, as you delete elements, you'll find that the pages realign, so you just need to return them back to their position. We can make this image smaller. So if you still like this image, you can make that image a little bit smaller, and you can put in here your details. We can change the font text or style. We can change the font size. We can make that more central. And there you have it. You've now completely edited your manual. So I'm just going to bring that box down there. A lot of people struggle with this sidebar. So if you don't want the page numbers to be present, or you don't want the sidebar, you can use this to pop your name in there. So if you just open it up by double clicking on this, you can click here and you can put in your academy name. Or you can completely get rid of it if you don't want it. So to get rid of it, click on this, go to header, click remove header, go to footer and remove footer, and then close, and that's gone. If you want to add page numbers in there, then you can go to insert, click on page number, and then this will add your page number in anywhere. If you don't want the number on the first page, you can just unclick that, and there you have it. You now have page numbers on every single page as well. So that's editing the first page. So really straightforward. The rest of the course details, again, you can change. So the first few pages of the manuals are information pages. So these are really important, I think, to be giving our students now, so they've got the information to find out who the accreditation company is or who they can get insured by. So it's quite an important part of the training. Again, you can change this up, you can remove it. So if this isn't something you want, you can literally just click remove and it will completely delete it out. And then you can obviously just start going straight into the training course. If you are happy to keep that in there, then you'll just need to put in any of the details that it's asking for. So if your accreditation company Centre of CPD Excellence, you can pop that in there. If you want to change the objectives, you can change the objectives and describe it how you would want to describe it. You can change the font again. So if you want this to be more bold, you can change this into bold writing, and you could put your name, your insurance company name here. And their contact number. Okay, so you can put all the different details there, so your students can then have a point of reference to go to if they need to find out who they can get insurance with. You can also put your details in here, so any contact details, so you can put the trainer's name, you can put your business address in here, your phone number as well, so if people want to get hold of you, you can put maybe a mobile number in there so that students can come to you if they've got an emergency. You can put your email address in there. You could put your website in there. If you've got a Facebook page or a Facebook group that you maybe have as a support group, all this information can be there. And it's just a nice thing for students to take home and be able to find you when they sort of need to look you up. The next few pages are always health and safety. I get asked a lot of times, is this really necessary to cover? And actually, it depends on who you're teaching and basically what you're training. These are all actually my manuals that I do teach from. So everything that is in these manuals, I do teach. They're not there for the fun of it. So for example, I want to always make sure that I'm improving the training industry, and everything that I do, I want to make sure that my students are getting the best out of me all of the time, and they're walking away with knowledge. Now, health and safety has to be in here to meet your accreditation standards and to pass accreditation. If you've not got it in there, you'll be unlikely to pass the accreditation process. So ultimately, it does need to be there. Whether I cover it all in as much detail or not is really down to who I'm teaching, what I'm teaching, and obviously how much knowledge that student already has. I don't actually read from my manuals word for word. I do speak pretty much from my head, and I teach my students from my own knowledge, and they then can use the manual as reference to go home and read up themselves. However, if I'm teaching a specific treatment that there's certain health and safety that is maybe new to that student or that I want to re-emphasize, let me use Botox as an example. If somebody's not used needles before, or they've not come across certain things such as working with the Medicines Act, then these are all the things that I would want to cover on my training course. I wouldn't want to skip over them. If I've got loads of level 3 beauty therapy students who are doing an advanced lash course, or they're doing an advanced massage course, would I go over all the health and safety with them in detail? Probably not. But what I would do is I would ask them if that's something they want me to cover. And if not, then I would just literally skip that over. If they want me to cover it, then I can go over quite briefly with this as well. If you don't want this in your manual, what you can do, there's several ways that you can teach health and safety. And obviously we're moving into the 21st century now, so there's so many things that we can do. We can put the health and safety as an online video. So if you are wanting to teach this, but you don't want to make it an integral part of the course that everybody needs to learn because you get people from various backgrounds on your course, then you could maybe get those that are new to the industry to watch the health and safety videos online before they start on the course. Therefore, you then covered it without boring the students that have probably heard the same stuff 100 times. Then from there, you can also look at maybe just taking this part out and sending it or giving it out as a separate handout for students to read before they come to the course, so they've got that knowledge already in place. So there's several ways that you can do that, and how you can get that across to them. Would I cover it? Yes, some things I do cover, especially as rules change, especially things like GDPR that only came in a couple of years ago. It's really important to make sure that as an industry, we try to keep up with all the changes. And because of Brexit, there's going to be a hell of a lot more changes that are coming in place. So it is really important that we do stipulate any new changes so that this can be passed on throughout the industry. If you've got images in here that you think are too big or you think aren't relevant to the course, you can just change these around and you can move them. So for example, if I wanted this to be just placed in the centre of the writing, I want the writing to come around it. If you right click it, and then if you put wrap text and you put tight, you can see then that the picture fits nicely around the text. So if you want to make your manual less pages, for example, because this is 48 pages for a lash manual, we can actually edit the manuals as well, and we can bring all the writing up towards the top of any spaces so that we're using less paper if we want to be more economical. And again, in things like this image here, we can move onto the next page up here, and we can change these pictures around. We can wrap that text again, so it's going to be around any of the writing, make it a little bit bigger so we can see, and there you go. So we're now saving pages. So what's gone from a 48 page manual is now 47 pages. So if you want to make that a little bit more of a shorter manual for your students and for printing and for cost wise, then we can obviously edit it as well. So have a read through the manuals as well, because some things it's always best you double check as well, to make sure that they're right for how you want to teach, and add in anything that you feel that maybe has been forgotten and left out, and then obviously that will be suitable for you to teach from. So you can see here we've got all about our sterilisation, we've got here about anatomy and physiology. Again, anatomy and physiology is one of those things of how much do I teach somebody on a training course? Do I go really into detail with somebody, or do I just literally sort of slide over quickly for something that if they've been doing this for 3, 4, 5 years, they should probably know. And again, the skin is something that you can teach online, but I always go into detail if it's something specific to a treatment. Let's take microneedling, for example. It has different effects on different layers of the skin, and therefore I will cover the skin in a lot more depth. So again, we can edit any of these images, we can take them out, we can change them up, we can mix them up into the text a little bit. If you want to change how the writing appears, we can obviously make it look all even here, or we can have it all centered over to the left or centered over to the right, whatever you prefer. And then we have got in here the history of lash and brow treatments. Again, most of the manuals will have some form of history in there. If you feel that you don't want to have the history, you can remove that out of there. We have contraindications. If you want to add photographs in or change the photographs up, then you can obviously just remove those or add them in or change them as you so wish. You can also change the layout of the tables as well. If you click on the layout of the table, it should open up here, and we can literally change how that table appears to our students in the manual. So we can obviously make that look unique to us. So if you don't want any of the lines in there, we can remove the lines. You can also change the colour as well. So if you don't like the colour, you can change the colour by just double clicking on this and changing the shading to another colour that is probably more suitable for your academy. If you get something like this that's got white behind it, you can actually get rid of that as well by just putting no spacing on there, and that will remove the background if there is one from there. And then you'll just need to change your font back to the correct font size, which is 10. So we'll just change that. Okay, and then that all blends in from there. So if you've got another one here, as I say, just highlight that, click here on no spacing twice, and it disappears. Go back into your edit settings for your text, and we can change the size and the font so that it all blends in. Again, we've got it here and here, but we can change that. So now you know how to change any of those issues that might arise. Again, we're covering in here about methods of hair removal. If you don't include that, you can remove that from there. You've also got your list of contract actions, which you can change. If you want to change the format of the table, we can do that as well. We've also got client consultation and a client consultation form. If you want to use your own client consultation form, then you can literally delete all this out and you can add your own client consultation form in as well. Or if you just want to hand a client consultation form out to your clients or to your students on the day and you don't want it in the manual, we can just remove that from there. If you've got your own brand that you're using, you can add that into your area setup, so you can put in information about your products from here. And then you've got things like eyebrow shaping, so maybe you want to put in some real photographs of you working on your own clients. You can add those in as well. So you've got so many options. Here we've got purple writing. You might want to maybe change that writing to a colour that is more suited to your branding. So again, you can change that to green. And then you've got all your procedures. So for example, if your lash tint product takes 20 minutes to develop, you can basically change your development time here. If you want to put in any extra steps or you want to alter it, for example, if you purchase say a lash and brow manual and you want to add in HD brow versions of the sort of steps of the treatment, you can add that into your procedure section. So there's so many different things that you can do. Like I say, these manuals are set to literally be able to be walking out and walk into a training course tomorrow and teach from, or you can edit them in any which way that you like to obviously have your manuals formatted. So once you've done that, obviously make sure you save them. All the manuals that are downloaded have 30 days for you to save. So if you've not saved them, then unfortunately we're not unable to replace any lost or stolen laptops where your files have been stolen hard drives. So make sure you keep a copy of your files as well. One more thing to show you is that when you've saved this manual particularly, you might want to then save this. So I'm going to save it as... let's have a look, my manual. So I'm going to click save on there. But now what I want to do is I want to send this to my students for them to practice. So if you go to file, click save as, you will then have the option of here to go to PDF and then click export. And you will now have a PDF copy of this manual that you can send out to your students before they do any of your online training, which means that they can't then edit or delete or remove any of your manual. Hope that makes sense to you guys. If you've got any questions, please feel free to drop me an email. I'm only too happy to help, but I hope that explains what our manuals look like and how you can edit them.